Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to UC Berkeley. So excited to have you here today and so excited to have you on today's panel to listen to all different Berkeley students talk about their experiences, give you the chance to ask questions to them and all that. So thank you again for joining us today. I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Christina. I use the she, her, hers pronoun series. I'm originally from Whittier, California. I'm a third year rising senior student here at UC Berkeley. I'm in the College of Engineering. I study industrial engineering and operations research. Aside from being a campus ambassador and sharing all the history and traditions and talking just about campus, I'm part of the UC Rally Committee, which is one of our spirit groups on campus. I'm also part of Hispanics in Engineering and Science, a Society of Women Engineers, a lot of engineering focused clubs. So if you have any questions about engineering or spirit, I can add on to what our panelists have to say today. But with that, I just want to quickly go over what the panel will look like today. We have a 1 hour panel with Q&A. So the Q&A function is going to be really vital to today. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see Q&A function, click on it. You should be able to type out a question and then click submit. And I'll be taking questions from the Q&A. We have people on the back end also typing questions out, but it'll just be a conversation between all of our panelists sharing whatever questions you guys have, sharing answers to that. If you need more info after this panel, go to visit.berkeley.edu for other offerings we have, or you can email tour@berkeley.edu with any follow-up questions. But with that, I'll let our panelists introduce themselves for the day.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jacky. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm from Rancho Santa Margarita, California, so Southern Orange County. I'm a third year transfer student. I am majoring in political science. I'm planning on double majoring in Chicano studies as well. And aside from being a campus ambassador, I worked in the ASUC transfer reps office. I was in PAD, which is Phi Alpha Delta Honors Society here on campus for pre-law. I'm in the UC Valley Committee, part of Greek Life, and I am a TAP scholar with the Cal Alumni Association.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the University of California, Berkeley. My name is Ryan. I use the he series, and I'm from Mission Viejo, California, which is actually like 10, 15 minutes away from Jacky's hometown. We've played each other, in, like our high schools have played each other in football. I'm going to be a senior, actually, this coming year, and I'm studying public health. Some things I'm involved in here on campus. I'm part of Suitcase Clinic, which helps out with the undeserved population here in Berkeley. I'm part of a pre-health fraternity, so I am pre-med. I do hope to go to med school in the future. And I'm part of a few research projects through the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, also known as URAP, that we'll probably talk about more later on.
Hi, y'all. I'm going to be your last panelist for today. My name is Kenzie. I use the she, her, hers pronouns. I'm originally from San Francisco, California, which is literally right across the bay from Berkeley. It's literally about an hour by public transportation from Berkeley, which is really great for me because I get to visit my dogs, but everyone else also loves it because they can check out the city of San Francisco while studying at Berkeley. I just finished my junior year, just like Ryan, so I'm going to be a rising senior, kind of crazy. I'm majoring in molecular environmental biology, and I'm also pursuing a minor in what's known as Cal Teach, or math and science education. This program is really great because people a part of Cal Teach are actually able to get their teaching credential in California along with their bachelor's degree. So me, as hoping to be a future teacher, can go right after college and begin teaching in California schools, which is pretty incredible. I'm also involved in Superb Comedy, which is a comedy group on campus. Sadly, it doesn't mean I actually perform any stand-up or do any comedic acts, but rather we hire comedians to come to campus. In the past, we've had SNL castmates or Saturday Night Live castmates, writers for the Netflix show Big Mouth come to campus, and Zach Fox, just to name a few. Gotta name drop a little bit. I'm also part of the Cal Rock Climbing Club. I've also been involved in molecular biology research and education research here on campus, and been involved in various different types of internships connected through our Career Center here at UC Berkeley. And lastly, I'm involved in AgMen STEM Ambassador. This was a program that actually popped up during the pandemic, which connected college students to local underserved Berkeley communities. So we're able to tutor these students even through the current pandemic and make sure they're keeping their grades up and involved in school, even if it is all online. So if you have any questions about any of that, definitely drop it in the Q&A. I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you so much to all of our panelists for introducing themselves. It seems like we have a senior panel today. All of us are going into our senior years in the fall. So we definitely have a lot of experience at Berkeley and just college in general. So again, feel free to ask any and all questions in the Q&A function below. But with that, I'll stop sharing screen so you can see all of our lovely faces. And we'll have our first poll of the day. So to be a little bit interactive with you guys, we'll have polls pop up on the screen, and feel free to answer just so we kind of know who's watching today's tour. So the first poll is just asking who you are. So just put what year in high school, whether you're in community college, whether you're a family member, all of that. Seems like we have a lot of high school students today. So a lot of people hopefully going to apply to Berkeley during the fall. So that looks amazing. Okay, so let's go to our Q&A doc and pull up the first question. So first question is going to be for Jacky. We'll close that poll. Jacky, do you know people who are transfer students? If so, can you just talk about the transfer experience and any suggestions / recommendations to get the most from your 2 years at Cal?
Yeah, so I'm actually a transfer student. I transferred from Santa Monica College, which is in LA. And I transferred in the pandemic, so it wasn't as linear as I would like it to be. However, I feel like I've had a pretty good experience up until now. My recommendation would be kind of like hit the ground running. I kind of waited until like my second semester to really become a part of these communities that I would like to be a part of. And I realized like in my second semester, like, God, if I just did this during the fall, I would have been set. I would have had like a good set of communities where I can go and relate and ask for support. So really just hit the ground running. It's okay. It's already hard enough like coming in from a different college, nevertheless a community college, and that transition both academically and socially. However, there are like resources here on campus for you to utilize and get the best out of your 2 years here. I'm thinking of actually taking a third year. So I'm trying to just navigate that, and it's okay to take a third year, take extra time to really graduate and understand what I want to do, because when I came into Berkeley, I was like, wow, I don't know if I really want to keep my major. I don't know if I want to change my major. And I felt like it was I felt like I was at the end of the like road. I felt like I didn't have any time, but that was completely wrong. You still have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to really search and guide yourself through all these things. And again, I really recommend just hit the ground running, reach out to your academic advisors, reach out to all of these clubs you want to be a part of. Something that I did was I looked at the Lead Center's website, and I kind of like which is a website like connected through Cal for all of our like student organizations on campus. So like clubs, sororities, fraternities, there's like recreational sports, all that stuff. And I just kind of like filtered through everything that I liked. And then I found all the clubs that like I could be a part of, which really helped. So I really do recommend taking a look at the Lead Center and see if there's like communities for you here, which there most likely is because there's hundreds of clubs on campus. And yeah, so thank you so much for asking that question.
Yeah, thank you, Jacky, for giving us that perspective. Yeah, I think Jacky's the only incoming transfer student that we have on today's panel, but I've interacted a lot with transfer students. I think all of us have at least had like a friend from a class that's a transfer student or in a club or some sort of association. And yeah, I think the best advice is what Jacky gave, to just try to get as involved as possible, because it is kind of a downside that you only have 2 years at Berkeley, because Berkeley has like so much to do. Even in my 4 years, I don't think I'm going to get to do everything that I want to do at Berkeley, just because there's so much to do, and you can't fit it in 4 years. So you just have to like find what you want to prioritize and what you really like care about. But with that same sentiment, I think all of us coming in as freshmen obviously had a different experience. And for students who may want to come in as first year students to Berkeley and not take the transfer route, next question goes to Ryan. And this question is, what was your freshman experience like? Any regrets as an upperclassman, just like how to make the most out of your freshman year if coming in through that first year student pathway?
Yes, I love this question. First off, I just want to say I still do feel like a freshman. I still feel like sometimes I have no idea what's going on. That's completely fine. But in terms of my freshman experience, it was actually quite long ago. It feels like just yesterday, but I was freshman, I guess, 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm going to be a senior in the fall. But my freshman experience, I think, was my freshman year is definitely probably my favorite year I had here at Cal. I think just being able to live in the dorms, and hopefully next semester you're able to live in the dorms if you come here. But just being able to live in the dorms and like live with so many other students, I think was really special. I would say that my first semester during my fall semester of my freshman year, I didn't do as much as I wanted to. I kind of just took it easy. I wanted to have like a chill semester where I just get used to things. But I do kind of regret that in a way. I think I wish that I like got involved in things. I applied to things. I think I was kind of scared. I was intimidated, but then I got involved in things my second semester as a freshman. And I think that just really opened up the campus to me. Kind of like what Jacky said, just like getting involved is really the best way to the best use of your time here at Cal, because there is so much to like that the school has to offer. I've joined so many different clubs, and I think that's like all the communities I'm a part of now is because of like the clubs I've joined. So I really think that just getting involved and not being scared to like reach out and like just join different things is the best thing. I think Jacky already plugged it, but the Cal Link website has like every club that the school has to offer. There's literally thousands of clubs that we have. But beyond that, there's research and other things that you can get involved into. And I think, yeah, just like really not being scared and really just trying to make use of your time here, I think is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, just to add on to what Ryan was saying, same, my freshman experience feels like it was so recent, but it's 3 years ago. Just living in the dorms, just building off of that, is such a unique experience, and I can't recommend it enough. My two best friends came from the dorms, just because you're really thrown into a community right off the bat when you join the dorms. 96% of our freshman students do live in the dorms. It's not required, but I would highly advise it, just because, like I said, you really get that community right off the bat. And you have residential assistants, or RAs, which are usually like sophomore, junior, senior students who serve as like mentors and guides for you in your freshman experience. And I definitely turned to them a lot when I had confusion or questions about what classes I should take. Yeah, that would be my recommendation. I think everyone, the biggest thing is here at Berkeley in your first year, you are a little bit intimidated. I definitely was, but I think slowly you realize, oh wait, we're all in this together. Like none of us really know anyone. We all really want to make friends. And everyone is just so welcoming. In the dorms, for example, everyone just the first couple of weeks left their doors open. So you could just walk into their room and be like, hey, I saw you were in my math class. Do you want to study together sometime? At first, it was like intimidating to walk in someone's open door, be like, oh, it's a private space. I don't know if that's like weird or something, but eventually you start to pick up the cues and be like, they're leaving their door open for a reason. They want to get to know people just like me. And I just want to emphasize how welcoming everyone here at Berkeley is. So I feel like just take advantage of that. Start conversations with people and they'd be very welcoming and grateful to talk to you. That was my experience.
Yeah. I don't honestly think we missed anything. I think just getting super involved and just like taking that first step, not being intimidated, is a really great step to just like preparing yourself for like college and making friends. The dorms, like Kenzie said, I made so many friendships through the dorms. I made friends that I would live off campus with after in the dorms. It's just like, it's a great community to be in. And I think that's kind of the main takeaway from everything, is just like find your community on campus, because that's what's gonna make like your 4 years or your 2 years or your 3 years or your 5 years. However much time you spend at Berkeley, that's what's gonna make it worth it, just finding a community on campus. So that kind of relates to our next question that is for Jacky. So let me bring up the question. So talking about community, Jacky, is there a way to be connected with the LGBTQ community on campus? Also plugging that this month is Pride Month. So happy Pride Month to everyone. But yeah, how have you found community on campus? Is there a community for LGBTQ students on campus?
Yeah, so first off, yeah, happy Pride Month, everybody. It is a good day to be alive. Um, so as a member of the LGBT plus Q community, I was really scared too about like coming in and trying to find that community because I thought it would very much not look like me. However, I was very wrong. Once I started again my second semester, really looking into these clubs and like hitting the ground running, I realized that there's like a lot of resources for queer students and a lot of scholarships too. A resource that I would plug would be the Queer Alliance program here on campus, the Queer Alliance Resource Center. It's an organization run by students and it provides resources to individuals and or other organizations within the LGBT plus Q community here at Cal. I would say that the community, at least that I'm a part of, and the other smaller like subsets of those communities and clubs, it's very welcoming. It's very like we don't need to know you. If you're like, you just like come up and you just like literally are your authentic self. Everyone will accept you with open arms regardless of anything. Even if you're not a member of the LGBT plus community, like if you just want friends, like for sure, like make sure to go into those as an ally, like go into those spaces and make sure that you like are being heard, because that's something that's very important to this community, is making sure that everyone's voice is heard. And I highly do recommend getting involved. And there's something called the Cal Queer Pals, and basically you get set with someone that also did that program for the semester, and you get to talk to them face to face as much as you want throughout the semester and kind of like navigate your life here at Cal as a queer person. So I highly do recommend looking into the Queer Alliance Resource Center, because they really do plug other clubs and other subsets of communities here on campus. But yeah, happy Pride Month.
Yeah, happy Pride Month again. And thank you, Jacky, for that in-depth answer. Yeah, I think regardless of like what you identify with, whether it's a certain ethnicity, with a certain group, like there's going to be a club on campus or organization on campus that's going to like be able to like facilitate finding that community. So yeah, be sure that there's like over like 1,200 clubs and organizations on campus. So there's a bunch of communities you can find within those. Okay, so I think since we're talking just a lot about clubs, about first year, we'll do like one more question on just like social life at Berkeley. And this last question is for Ryan, but everyone feel free to add on if you have anything to add on. But someone asked, does the size of UC Berkeley make it intimidating to navigate socially?
Thank you, Christina. Another good question. So I will say that UC Berkeley is a rather large school. We were a big public research university, so that means that there are a ton of people on campus. So I think that's actually one of my favorite things about Berkeley, in a sense, is how big it is. I think just walking back from classes, you walk down Sproul Plaza, which is just this flat plaza where you have clubs tabling and trying to give you flyers, trying to get you to join their clubs. But with that big school, you get that kind of just like energy you get from walking down there. I think that's one of the biggest things I miss from in like an in-person semester, is just being able to walk down and just be able to talk to people and like see all these people that are advocating for their different clubs. But in a sense, it can become a little intimidating. Like I said, there are 1,000 clubs, so that's good and bad in a way, because there's just so many options, you don't even know where to start. But I do think that Berkeley has many resources to help students feel connected and feel be able to find the clubs and things that they want to do. There's different events like Calapalooza where you're able to pretty much interact with every club. So most clubs actually get a table. It's like a 1 or 2 day event, and then every club has like a different like flyers and like poster boards, and they just give you a general idea of what they're about. And then it's just like a big kind of like club rush, like in high school, but like 50 times bigger. But it's just a nice way that you're able to interact with all these clubs and get feel interacted or interact with them. But overall, I think just like another good way is just being able to like reach out to people, people in your classes, people in organizations you're in, ask them what they're in, and just be able to like find out about different things through that. I think just through my time here, I've accumulated knowledge about like what clubs you want to do if you're into business, or if you're into like law or things like that, or just like you like dogs, like there's clubs for that. So I think just being able to reach out, not being scared, talking to upperclassmen who have been here for about 3 or 4 years, because you kind of just get to know the school. And I think that's one of the best things, is that it has so much to offer because we are so big.
And just to add on really fast, I just wanted to say, like, as you start taking your like upper division courses, your class sizes really start to shrink. So we are a school of 30,000 people or undergraduate students. And that's something I love, because like Ryan was saying, you're really able to find your specific community, people you really connect with. Like, I never saw before I came to Berkeley that I would be connecting with people who have the specific interest in hiring comedians to come to campus. Like, that's super specific, but those are my people, and I'm super happy to be a part of that organization. And it's offered because we're such a big school. There can be over 1,000 clubs for every single interest. But like I was saying, as you get into your upper division classes, your classes start to shrink in size. And so again, you're going to find people with very similar academic interests to you who are just picking the same classes as you. So starting off my freshman year, I was taking like classes that had large lecture halls, because I was taking like general chemistry and general biology. But now I'm taking like insect physiology. There was only like 20 students in my class. And these are students I saw before in my general biology class and my chemistry class. But now I have a chance to really make a connection to them because we're in these smaller classes that really fit with our interests. Yeah, most of our classes are of this smaller size. You wouldn't think it being such a bigger university, but most of our classes are on the smaller size and allow for that one-on-one interaction, which is really awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan, and then Kenzie, for adding on to that. So now that we're starting to talk a little bit less about social stuff and more about academics, I think it's a good time to launch our second poll. So you should see the second poll pop up on your screen right now. And it's just asking what you're interested in. So feel free to click. I believe it's multiple choice. You can choose different disciplines, because I know even myself, when I was applying to colleges, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, but just give us a general sense of what you're interested in, and hopefully that'll match up to at least one of our majors and we can talk about, or one of the classes we've taken at least. Okay, so it seems like a lot of architecture, environmental science, chem, engineering, biological sciences, perfect for public health majors. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much for answering that poll. And that'll lead us right into our next question. I think we'll start off with Jacky, and then we can just go around and each of us can kind of quickly talk about what our favorite class that we've taken at Berkeley has been. It could hopefully line up with one of the disciplines from the poll, but it could just be any class from any subject and just like why you love that class or why it left an impact on you. So yeah, we'll start with Jacky and then go from there.
So my favorite class was definitely not with what the participants said. However, I will plug this class. It is Chicano Studies 50, which is introductory history of Chicano people. And I myself identify as a Chicana, and which is a Mexican American, like first generation born in California specifically. And I identify as that. And I learned so much in this single class that I literally cannot stop like plugging all of these books to everyone. I'm like, you need to read this, you need to read this. And what's so awesome is that UC Berkeley actually is like a really great start of where a lot of all of these activist strides for Chicano students in California and across the nation started. So like we have organizations here that have been here for more than 50 to 60 years. And at the time, the Latinx population here on campus was very tiny, but very resilient. They did so much. And I think that like goes back to the notion that we here at Cal are change makers, and we have always been change makers since like the beginning. All of these students really inspired me to pursue more social sciences and pursue like Chicano studies as a double major. And I really do recommend this class, although it is a little reading heavy. I learned so much, and I thought it was really cool to see that Cal was like the location for a lot of these activist outbursts, or at like the Third World Liberation Front goes hand in hand with the free speech movement and these students, which honestly I could see us like reflecting, like I could see students now, I could see certain qualities that I've seen like documentaries and stuff of past students. And I think that is so cool because really, like, again, I cannot say it enough. We are all like a community of change makers. And honestly, it is like, it's stuck to that. That trend has stuck. And I can't wait to see like what else we have to offer as students in the future and now.
All right, I guess I can add on. That class sounds incredible. I know they have a lot of classes related to so many different cultures. One of my friends actually took a class that was specifically about the Hapa experience, and she loved it because she identifies as Hapa. But transitioning into my favorite classes as a molecular environmental biology major, a lot of the classes I take are definitely more on the STEM side. Something I just want to emphasize further is that as you get into those upper division classes, you really are able to select what you're truly interested in. And so my list of favorite classes is growing and growing as I'm becoming a junior and a senior. This past semester, I was excited about every single class I was taking because I was taking like American wildlife, in specifically with a focus on 21st century policy in the Yellowstone ecosystem. I'm actually living in Montana right now. And so I was like, that's the class I want to take. I want to learn all about the ecosystem in Montana, like so specific of an interest, but aligned with me and my own interests so specifically. I also took like insect physiology and like equity in urban schools, more of that like education focus I do. But that's just like a couple of the classes that I got involved in this past semester. But more recently, my favorite class overall, I have to say, would be environmental biology. And that sounds like a very general class, but it would really shifted my eyes on what Berkeley has to offer, because I went into it just trying to fill a requirement. It was a general, like, you have to take an environmental based class. And I was like, okay, environmental biology sounds interesting enough. I'll check it off my list. But going into this class, I expected it to be your typical STEM course, lots of tests, lots of like homeworks, mostly lecturing, sitting there, like learning from your professor, but it was nothing like that. My professor, his whole ideal and idea was to take everything we knew about the world and crush it and change it into something completely different. For example, our big project for the entire semester was literally to take something living, so like an apple, an orange, put it in a jar, seal it, and watch it for the entire semester. And this was a big portion of my grade. But he wanted to show us that even as that like apple died, from death came life. Like, how poetic is that for an environmental biology class? And we actually had to make our own journals to write about our observations. So I had to like, you would have saw me on campus collecting leaves and trying to hot glue them together to make my own journal. But additionally, why I love this class a lot is because it was very field trip based. I feel like this isn't said enough, but UC Berkeley offers a lot of like exploration based classes where you actually go out in the world and explore, especially through our College of Natural Resources. Just because if you're learning about the environment, why not go out and check it? So part of my grade was to either attend a protest about climate change and climate change advocacy, or take a hike with my professor up in the Berkeley Hills, or my favorite was go kayaking under the moonlight in the bay. Again, this was like part of my grade. And to be honest, I think I learned way more than I was ever expecting out of this class, just because I felt connected to the world around me in a way that I hadn't really when I was just like looking at a textbook. And similarly, I saw that parallels in my wildlife classes and in my insect physiology classes and other courses. I just want to emphasize, I feel like Berkeley does really try to connect you to the world around you instead of just learning from that textbook. You know that your knowledge and what you're learning about the world could actually make that change. Like Jacky was talking about, our professors are trying to raise us as change makers. And it was just, that was my favorite course by far.
Wow, Kenzie, that was amazing. Truly poetic. But so I think it's gonna be hard for me to go after that. But in terms of my favorite class, I think I'm gonna cheat and probably pick a few, because there really are so many classes that I've taken here that have really changed my perspective. I think actually changed my major. I've changed my major at least 5 or 6 times since I've been here, and I think I'm still gonna graduate on time. Hopefully, I need to look at my 4-year schedule again, but regardless of that, I think I've taken a lot of classes because of my constant major changes. So I definitely have many different things to choose from. But I think in terms of my favorite classes, one of my favorite classes that I've taken, or at least like interesting, was my freshman year. I took a class on hip hop. So it was taught by a hip hop artist. He was an actual rapper who had a PhD. So he was incredibly well versed. He like was it was his lectures were like amazing. So like it was just 2 hours and I was just sitting there like in awe because you're just learning about like the African American experience and like how it, like the sociology of hip hop and things like that. And I think it changed my perspective on things as a freshman. My first semester, I was just like, what is going on? So I think I don't know. It was just a really incredible experience to be able to like listen to these lectures from this like incredibly well versed guy. But one of our assignments actually was, like Kenzie said, very field trip based. One of our assignments was to go to a hip hop festival or hip hop concert. So I went to a local hip hop festival that was here in the Bay, and I just had to write like a half-page thing about it, and it was pretty cool. And that was pretty much my entire grade. So I think Berkeley really does emphasis just like be going out and doing things and not so much on the grade. But I mean, all the classes are different. But in terms of my next favorite class, I think I would have to say it's definitely, I would say, more of a controversial favorite class. I don't know if I could say it's my favorite class, but I really, really enjoyed taking biology 1A, which is just general biology. I can see Kenzie's face is very surprised, but I think it was just a really cool experience. I was lectured by Jennifer Doudna, which is actually one of our Nobel laureate award winners, which is crazy. She's done crazy things. You can look her up on, she has like TED Talks on YouTube with millions of views. And it was just really cool to be able to get lectured by her. But I think the best part about that class was I left that class like just in awe of how much I had learned. I think just like her lectures were like filled with material, and you're just like, it's definitely not the easiest class. You're going to spend a lot of time doing it. But I think it was just really rewarding at the end of the class. And I think as I'm studying for my MCAT this summer, I think my time spent in that class is definitely hopefully going to pay off, just with all the knowledge that I crammed in my brain for that one semester. So I think it's just a really rewarding experience being able to like learn from the best and being able to just like be shook by how much you've learned through that one semester. And finally, I'm going to cheat again. I'm doing 3 here. My last favorite class was probably my climate change R1B, which is actually an English class, and I learned about climate change, which actually it caused like me to change my major again. So I actually changed my major because of it to molecular environmental biology, what Kenzie is studying, but I've changed it again since then, unfortunately. But it did make me want to change my major. It was just really influential being able to be in an English class and learn about climate change and just change my entire perspective on the world. But I'm really thankful for all the classes. I can probably like list off 5 more, but those are just my top 3.
Oh my God, thank you all for sharing those classes. I only have a year left, so I don't think there's too many classes I can take from there, but I'll definitely be writing down those recommendations, and hopefully all of you at home, if you ever end up coming to Berkeley, take one of the classes that we mentioned because they all sound wonderful. But talking about classes, one thing that I think I was worried about, and I think a lot of other students worry about when coming into college, is just like taking those college classes and actually succeeding in them. So my next question is, what is the best way to make sure you're getting the academic advice and just like academic support that you need? And we can start with Jacky, and just if anyone has anything else to add on, feel free to do that.
It's a really good question. I would first start off by saying definitely within your college, there should be tutoring offered, and take advantage of that because the first couple of weeks, no one really does. Everyone's just vibing, just chilling, trying to take a hold of the semester. But then, like, once midterms run around, everyone wants a tutoring appointment. And the thing is, there's tutoring not only within your college, but within your major, within clubs. I know that there's also tutoring within like Greek life and different like communities on campus. So in reality, if you just like take the initiative to try to find where these tutoring services are, you'll be able to find them. And I think that's something that's really important, is taking the initiative yourself, because really, like, as long as you just reach out for help, someone can like pinpoint you where like your correct location would be. Like, let's just say like you need a tutoring in econ. Well, obviously we want someone that's like, mastered econ or taken the class before, to help you. So I highly do recommend going into those spaces and asking for help. Like for me, I'm a transfer student, so I can go into the transfer student center and in person next year, which is really cool. But like right now they have like drop-in Zoom, so I can just drop in and have them read my essays or read any of my other work that I have to get graded. And I think it's a really cool like resource that we have here. And again, I'm a transfer, so like I was able to use that. And I know like in the Queer Alliance Resource Center, they also have tutoring. And I'm only a part of like those certain communities, so I can only imagine like you guys in STEM have even more like resources available to you, because you are a STEM student. So there will be STEM based resources for you and STEM based tutoring, which I highly do recommend. I would also say take advantage of your professor's office hours and your GSIs, so like your graduate student instructor, because that could be like if you book an hour, you book 45 minutes with your GSI or your professor, it's like a subtle like tutoring like appointment you could have. And like it's much better when you have it with the actual professor and your graduate student instructor that's teaching the class that you're struggling in. So I really do recommend that you take advantage of office hours. And again, those usually in the beginning of the semester, at least in my experience, have been pretty free. The professors like begging everyone to come, and then like during midterms and finals, it's just like every single appointment will be booked. And that's when I start like reaching out for different help elsewhere. And a majority of the time, I would say 98 out of the 100, I'm able to get that help. I'm able to get the tutoring I need. So yeah, take initiative.
Just to build off of Jacky's awesome answer, yeah, the tutoring at Berkeley, I think, is kind of unmatched. We have something called the Student Learning Center, or the SLC. I think Jacky touched on it. I spent so much time there when I was taking the infamous Bio 1A course, actually, along with like all the chemistry courses I had to take. They literally just have a table with a sign that says the class name, and you can just drop in whenever you'd like. And a student who has already done well in the class will tutor you in that material, and it's phenomenal. And it was great because I also got to connect with other students in those classes because they were also sharing the same table with me. We'd work together. But I just want to talk about the variance in resources here at UC Berkeley. There is so many academic resources, but there's so much beyond that. Half of my like internships and jobs I got involved in was through our career center, which has advisors for specific career paths. There was a moment I was considering being pre-med. That moment has passed, but when it was happening, I went and I met with the career center's advisors specifically for pursuing medical school and seeing what classes I had to take, what the options are. Additionally, I'm like studying abroad in the upcoming fall. And our study abroad program has advisors, their own advisors that you can meet with for specific countries. So if you know the country you're interested in, you can reach out to an advisor who focuses solely on that country. They also have an advisor for like finances to ensure that students who maybe are on scholarship or financial aid are able to use those funds to apply to study abroad, really making sure all of our wonderful opportunities at Berkeley are accessible to the most number of students. But also always you have your academic advisor, your major advisor, they're always there to support you and definitely can connect you to all of these resources. I know I've sometimes just gone into my major advisor and just been like, hey, I'm not sure where to go, but I really want to get involved in research. And she's like, oh, I know a great professor in our College of Natural Resources that I can connect you with who's looking for researchers. And that just took me steps along the way and got me involved in research. So just reach out to everyone all around. There's just Google anything. This is what I recommend. Name of the thing you're looking for, resource UC Berkeley, and I'm betting something pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, just to quickly add on, I mean, we've like covered so many resources, but I think one last resource that I would really highly recommend is just like your peers. I think these people who have already gone through it, who are going through it right now, taking these classes, I think are a really incredible resource. So just like building relationships with like different students who, and I like reaching out to them, I think is a really, really good resource as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of you for adding on to that. I don't think there's anything else I can add on, just like UC Berkeley is here to support you. And if you go out and ask for help, like there's going to be people there to do that. So now we're going to launch our last poll of the day. So this poll is going to be asking where you're joining us from. Feel free to answer, whether you're from California, international, another, time zone. Feel free to check. Looks like Northern California and Eastern time zone are the most popular. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us either this afternoon or this night. Either way, thank you. Let's see, we're gonna go on to some other questions that were asked. Oh, actually, here's a good one that was asked that mostly relates to Ryan and Kenzie. So maybe we'll start off with Ryan. What preparation did you do going for a biology or medicine major in high school?
All right, another good question. So I think in terms of like a biology major or like medicine, we don't actually have a pre-medicine major, so there's no pre-med major. You kind of just choose your own major and then you take the necessary requirements for med school. But in terms of things you do in high school, I would say in like terms of focusing on things in high school, really just do what you're passionate about. I think once you get to college, there's going to be a whole another door of opportunities that await you. But I think really just trying to figure out what you want to do, narrow it down a little bit. I definitely came in here with no idea. I think in high school, I did kind of maybe consider medical school. I volunteered at my local children's hospital, and that was a really nice experience, just getting some patient interaction. I think I was like part of like the medical club or like some weird club like that. But I think in terms of just like doing things that you really care about and or trying to figure out what you care about and narrow it down a little bit. I think colleges, at least in the admission process, really look for what students that are passionate or just show some bit of passion, regardless if it's like whatever it is you may be interested in. I think that's really important that the schools see that kind of passion come through your application. So I think in terms of like focusing on stuff in high school, I think it's really just trying to narrow it down a little bit, because I at least didn't narrow it down that much, and that kind of led to me changing my major so many times. But I think it was I definitely appreciated all the things that I've done here, and eventually I'm happy where I am as a public health major. I think public health is definitely one of the best majors. I'm incredibly biased, so don't ask me about it, because I will definitely probably convince you to join public health. But regardless of that, I think just really focusing on trying to figure out what you want to do in high school, and just going through those steps in high school.
Yeah, just building off of that, 100%. That's what I did. I took AP biology and physiology in high school, and that wasn't to like make my application look better or anything. It was mostly because I know if I wasn't actually interested in the classes, I probably wouldn't have done so well in them as I did. It was mostly just to figure out, hey, I'm really interested in biology, but is this something I want to pursue further in college? And it was through physiology and AP biology, I was really able to concrete my interest in biology. And so that's how I was able to select my major going in to college. So that was mostly what I did, was just follow, like if you have an inkling, like Ryan said, of what you might be passionate about, pursue it. And it will kind of reveal itself and snowball later in college. Like there was moments where I was also thinking maybe I'll switch my major, but as I took more and more classes, I was like, dang, I really, really love biology and I don't think I'd want to do any other major. So you don't have to know now, because like Ryan said, there's so many opportunities in college for you just to like figure it out even more. Changing your major is totally acceptable here at the UC Berkeley community. I know so many students who have.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of people who change majors, so like don't be afraid of that. If you come in wanting to do pre-med and you change your mind, that is completely fine. A lot of students do that. A lot of students come in not wanting to do pre-med and then change their mind and add it on. But yeah, there's a bunch of resources, and don't worry too much about like, just do what interests you in high school. I think that's the best advice. And that'll put you on the pathway to success. Don't do stuff, oh, I should probably take this AP class because it's an AP class. do it because, you know, you enjoy it or you think you're gonna gain something from it. I think that's what my little piece of advice is. Okay, so we're gonna go on to some other questions that have been asked. This next one is for Jacky. So someone wanted to know, what's the workload like at UC Berkeley? Would you say that there's a lot of work compared to other schools? Do you think it's harder than other schools? And Jacky, especially coming from a community college, you may be able to compare kind of better than we had. We went from high school to college, where you came from a community college, and it's probably a little bit more similar. But yeah, you could just talk about overall the workload at Berkeley.
That's a great question. I wish I asked this when I first got admitted. I think that the best way for you to go about the workload, at least me as a poli-sci major, at first I was like stunned by the amount of reading we had to do. However, I realized that it was kind of like on me because I was not doing the correct time management skills. And once I managed those time management skills, everything went along very smoothly. And I was able to, you know, have a social life, have a personal life in terms of like personal, like, I don't know, like stuff that happens, have an academic life, be able to pursue internships, be able to have time to like apply for scholarships, which are very important. And I think the most important thing is for you to like honestly to master like Google Calendar. Do not double book yourself. Make sure that you have enough time to like walk to your classes. And all I'm gonna say is like, so I transferred from Santa Monica College, and it was a very competitive community college. I know that like sounds weird, but it was because everyone wanted to transfer to Berkeley and everyone wanted to transfer to UCLA. So it was kind of like everyone had to have the highest GPA or whatever. And it didn't really matter at the end because like really all that matters is like your personal statement and like who you are as a person, and you kind of have to reflect that on your application. And all I'm going to say is the workload was kind of similar. However, before when I was in community college, I was like striving for something. I was like, I got to work hard in order to get into Cal. So I like accepted it. And then when I got into Cal and noticed the workload, I was like, well, it's like similar. Like I still have to read a certain amount of pages. I still have to write a certain amount of pages, still have to take all these units or not take as much, kind of like just navigate. And once I realized that, again, like my biggest problem was time management, because I already was at my goal. I was already at Cal. I let go of that. And once I remastered it, everything kind of went along smoothly. And also like in terms of competitiveness, I feel like as long as you just reach out again to your academic advisors, reach out to your GSIs, reach out to your professors, if you can go to tutoring, like the resources are here for you. I really do think that your time here will go along smoothly. And just like any other university, like in America or in the world, it's going to be competitive, but it's also like how you go about it. And I think that as long as you like approach it with the positive mindset, you could achieve a lot of things and you could take on a certain amount of workload that you think is like good for you. Don't overdo it because you will burn out and you will have to be like, wow, I should have time managed. So yeah, that's my piece of advice and a really good question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jacky. Thank you for like giving that kind of perspective and also just like kind of inspiring me. I know like certain times of the semester I start off the semester really good, then get really bad at time management, then like ramp it up again. And I think a lot of us do that. And yeah, I'd say if you have like the motivation to do it, it's like everything at UC Berkeley, I think all the classes, it's just like good work. It's like a good problem to have a lot of work because it's stuff that you actually care about. And if you actually like enjoy your major, you're like, yeah, it's a lot of reading, or for some people, or if it's a lot of like mat labs to do, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I signed up for this because I love it and like I find it super interesting. So I think that's like, at least for me, like what makes it worth it. So yeah, okay. Let me go on to our last question of the day. And the last question of the day was asked by someone, and I really like it. It's what made you want to attend Berkeley? And now that you have attended Berkeley, what do you appreciate / like the most about it? So yeah, this is what we'll end off, kind of like a little Berkeley story at the end of the panel. We'll start off with Kenzie, then go to Jacky, and then end with Ryan.
For sure. I also really love this question. And I feel like I have a bit of a like backwards story because initially I didn't really want to attend UC Berkeley. I'm going to spoil the end of my Berkeley story for you now and just tell you now that I'm here, I'm so, so thankful that I decided to come, and I would never, ever have transfer or want to transfer to any other school. My time here has just been utterly phenomenal. But initially, I just didn't want to come to Berkeley because of two main reasons. First being, I thought college was my huge chance at independence. And I thought independence was directly linked to going far, far away for college. So I was looking out of state. Even for a brief moment, I was considering Canada. So even leaving the country. But now that I'm here at Berkeley, and I see that I can find my independence in such unique ways that don't necessarily have to do with radius away from my parents. Rather, one of the main ways I've really found independence is creating my path here at UC Berkeley. I've gotten to create not only like my extracurriculars, like what I get involved in, but I've gotten to choose what I study. My major, molecular environmental biology, already sounds pretty specific, but beyond that, I get to choose a concentration. When I'm picking classes, it's usually like, here's a section called Section A. And you can take any two classes that interest you from that section. So my path through my major looks completely different and completely unique to someone who was also in a very similar major. And I feel like that's a shared experience for most of our Berkeley students, is that you really get to craft your path and create your own story here at Berkeley. And that is so liberating, and it fills me up with that independence need that I've always needed. Also, like, cooking my own dinners and doing my own laundry, definitely a way of finding independence also. But additionally, another reason, and I saw this was one of the questions in the Q&A, I was scared to initially sign up or come to UC Berkeley, was because I heard this rumor that it was super competitive. And I knew that wasn't something I wanted in my college experience. And I will say, now that I'm here at UC Berkeley, I've found it to be one of the most collaborative communities I've ever been a part of. Tying back to like my first answer, I feel like as UC Berkeley students, we've all recognized that we're on our own path, pursuing all very different but uniquely awesome opportunities. There are so many different things that we're passionate about. And I think we've realized as a school that by lifting each other up to reach these different ideas that we're passionate about, we can all hit those passions rather than having to cut each other down to strive for these different opportunities. And I've realized this in so many different ways, from going to the SLC, the Student Learning Center, and going to tutoring, where your tutors are actually your fellow students. They're taking the time out of their day to tutor you. They want you to be successful here at Berkeley. From reaching out to students in my first class, one of my best friends is simply, I was sitting next to him in my first chemistry class ever, and I was just like, hey, I know we live in the same dorm and we're in this class. Do you want to study together? And instantly I received a yes. And I've had those moments throughout my entire college career here at Berkeley. I'm just so happy to be a part of this school, because not only am I a part of one of the most academically prominent and rigorous schools in the world, I'm getting one of the best educations where I'm getting taught by Nobel laureates, but additionally, I'm a part of a welcoming and unique community that I don't think I could find at any other school. And that's why I'm super proud and super happy to be UC Berkeley Golden Bear, and why I scream the name UC Berkeley from the rooftops. But that's my Berkeley story.
Thank you, Kenzie. This is my first time listening. You did so good. That was so good. It warmed my heart. So my Berkeley story actually started when I was 16. I did a summer camp here at Berkeley, and at first I thought I would wanted to do pre-med, but obviously that was not the case anymore because of that camp. But I still loved Berkeley with every ounce of my body. I made sure that I would get here, and although I did not like apply / get in, well, it didn't apply, so I couldn't get in straight out of high school, because I knew that community college would just be a lot better option for me at one point. And it was, because I was able to work my hardest and transfer in. And no one literally was going to tell me that I wasn't going to go to Cal. And I did have a couple of people that said I wasn't going to, but now I'm here. So what's up? And all I'm going to say is my favorite part about Cal is that the people, I've met such kind-hearted people here, even like through the virtual realm. I've made like several handfuls of like friendships that I know that once we see each other in person, it's gonna be just so good. And everyone is just so nice. And at first, like it was very like strange for me to come in while it was virtual, not really know anyone, and come in as a third year, and everyone I thought already had their friend groups or whatever. But the truth is, everyone here just kind of like goes with the flow. I know there's no like, it's not high school, everyone is friends with everyone. I'm sure I'm going to be friends with my co-guides here. Like, this was great. But that's my favorite part about Cal is just the people. Truly, like, the people here are unmatched, and I think I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Jacky. That was also wonderful. So in terms of my Berkeley story, I think when I was first applying to schools way back when, 4 years ago, I had no idea what I was like really looking for. I think I was really attracted to Berkeley. I was really attracted to UCLA. I like was attracted to the rigor, but beyond that, I didn't really know why I wanted to come here. So I applied and I got waitlisted. So I actually did not get in my first time. So if there's anything you get a take out of this tour, if you're waitlisted, don't give up hope. Submit that like little short essay. You have to type out. It's not that bad, but will have a chance to still come here. So I did that, and I actually got an acceptance letter. I got dinner with my mom. It was great. It was wonderful. And then we went up to Berkeley that next weekend, and we visited it. And I think just stepping on a campus for that first time, I had been here before, but I think just stepping on the campus and being like, I can actually be here, I think was just really just like the start of something like magical in a way. I think just being able to like talk with these students, see the campus alive, was really special. And ever since then, ever since I first stepped on the campus, I think I've really fallen in love with this school. I think that's one of the reasons why I've become a campus ambassador, because I really do love this school that much. And I'm so incredibly grateful for all the things that I've done here, all the people I've met. I think like Kenzie and Jacky have said, the community here is unmatched. Just all the people I've met, they continue to inspire me. I meet new people every day that have done crazy things, from people all over the world, really. So I think just being able to hear from those different perspectives, coming from this like relatively sheltered place, coming into Berkeley, I think has really widened my perspective, really opened my eyes to the world. And I think I'm just incredibly grateful for, like I said, just all the people I've met in the community that I've been a part of. Just all the opportunities I've been able to have, I think is really, really incredibly special. And I think looking back, I've really grown more in these past like 4 years than I have in the previous 18 years of my life. So overall, I'm just really, really happy to be here. And I think I have no regrets at all. I'm talking to my friends who have all, I think pretty much, it's weird, all of my friends who have gone to different schools have transferred because they just maybe didn't like their schools. But I never have had that thought come even close to my coming across my mind. So yeah, overall, I'm just really happy to be here. And I think these tours are slowly to become more and more real as I'm going to be a senior. And I don't know, it's just, I think it makes me sad kind of just like reflecting about my time here. So overall, that's my Berkeley story, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you to all of our guides for sharing those amazing Berkeley stories. You all talked about how the people at Berkeley kind of like make it worth it. And I think that's true, because all of you just kind of inspired me to just like go through, I don't have that many summer classes, but get through these summer classes based on your stories and how you talk about UC Berkeley. So yeah, thank you to everyone for joining us today. Here are a few ways to contact us after this virtual panel. So you can go to our UVisit tour at uvisit.com/Berkeley. There you'll be able to see basically a walk through campus. You'll be able to go inside buildings, listen to different people talking virtually in front of those buildings and giving a little history about it. It's probably the closest thing to going on campus that you guys can do right now. You can also follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley. That's also the same handle for our YouTube channel. We have recorded virtual panels on our YouTube channel with different questions, or you could also see our virtual visits on there. I know there's a lot of questions. I think we got them all answered, but if there's any questions that come up after this tour, email tour@berkeley.edu, and a student ambassador will get back to you with an answer to your question. Check out our Berry Talk blog to hear more from campus ambassadors. We have an admissions presentation if you want to go check that out, and other virtual visits and engineering visits as well. So a bunch of different ways to learn more about UC Berkeley if you found today's panel interesting. And yeah, with that, thank you again so much for joining us today. And we're going to end off the panel like we end off everything here at UC Berkeley, and that's with the Go Bears. So if all our panelists want to unmute themselves, we'll do a Go Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3. Go
Go
Bears!
Bears!
Bears.
Thanks, everyone.